another edition of Ren's Playtime Corner. We're here with, of course, the lovely Ren. Ren, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good to hear. And of course, I'm Webster Style, the man, the voice of fragrance. Now, one of the things that we have conversation about offline is just sort of perception and perception of each other. Mostly perception that men have of women online, how they present themselves. And if you follow Ren, you know there are times that Ren decides to project herself in a very sultry, sensual way. So,
Yeah.
no, I say it that way because it is there is a difference between being sensual in presentation and sultry and then slutty.
Okay. Educate, because
Um,
what will be the difference?
well, a lot of it is just is what you wear. Um, I would say if not you specifically, but in general, I would think that if a man sees a woman online and they constantly present themselves in pretty much next to nothing, um, doing maybe very sexually suggestive poses or actions, I think many would classify that as being more quote unquote slutty. And again, it's just a term, it's not to shame, it's just to denote differences in perception. Then you have those that may be doing more of a draw sort of thing, or even lingerie, and even with things that you wear, you accentuate your assets, but you are not someone who is just letting it all hang out. There's a tactfulness and a taste about how you do things at times, especially when you do more of the lingerie stuff. Other than that, I mean, you're very well endowed, and I understand it is very hard to not have things show. So that's an important state of being with your body and your body type.
Hmm.
But that led us to conversations about, okay, how women perceive it. I have these conversations in general, just with brothers and even some women, and we talk about that perception and more so how someone addresses that said female.
Hmm.
And I think I don't know much is a disconnect, but I'll say this: men are very visual. Um, there are women that I see online. There are women that are shared to me that colleagues of mine think are super attractive. And we comment like, as guys do, nothing vulgar, but we share our admiration for them amongst the privacy of our inboxes. Uh, we see them as women. We see them as beautiful women, and in many respects, they are a fantasy. They're not someone whom we are going. And these are regular women. We're not talking about, say, those that are purposely, consistently dressing in a seductive way that's not on a brand. And that's I'll get to that distinction as well. Um, like they're just regular women. They're very attractive. They dress in attractive ways, not so much suggestive ways. But let's be frank, today's society and today's culture, um, the norm for even little girls is for little girls to be showing skin, and that's a whole nother conversation.
And
But
that's terrible, man. It's just terrible. I
it
mean,
is.
I have like a daughter. You have daughters, you know?
Mhm,
And when I first saw my daughter in like what is it, a cut top or something?
mhm.
Her father brought it. But I was like, what the fuck is this? Like
Right.
I'm like, she's just turned a teenager. Like the fuck?
Right.
I mean, of course, to her father, that's his little girl, but to other men, that's serving her up for a platter. You know, it's just the gradually like I grew up in the 90s. I'm a 90s baby. So I seen the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, up to 90s of how women present themselves and how men present themselves. And it baffles me to the highest regard of why we are so conflicted about all these things that we still instinctively want, but for whatever reason, I believe it's peer pressure.
Mm-hmm.
People just want to. It's in our nature. We want to be liked. We want to be loved. We want the attention. We want the affection. It's naturally that we want that as human beings. Like I just got finished watching The Boys,
Mm-hmm.
and Homelander, he's the most powerful being in the world, but he still longing for attention, affection, and love. He still want love. He
Mm-hmm.
still want to be patted on the head like you a good boy because he didn't grow up with a father or a mother. So
Right.
he still have that instinctively in his DNA body that I need affection, attention, and someone to love me.
Right.
And when you tell somebody, I want somebody to hug me and hold me, they look at you like, ill, you needy. No, but you like, what are you talking about? Because everything is some form of attention, some form of affection,
Right.
some form of trying to be accepted, some form of trying to fit in. People just don't do things for no reason.
Right.
Like I had a guy was talking to me recently and he was like he was in a poly relationship and all I asked him was why are you in poly? He's like, oh, well, straight monogamy don't get asked that question. Yes, they do. They get asked why are you broken up. Everyone asks questions about why you in this situation right now, why you think this way, and why you want this over that. It's not an attack on
Yeah, for
you.
him to get on the defensive, that's like that.
Yeah,
That would
right.
seem to be a very, I guess, frontline question. Like, oh, because while it's more commonplace now, it's still not something that everybody is familiar with. It's like, oh, why are you in a relationship like that? What been
Right.
like? Because you're curious, you want to know.
Right.
We are human beings. And like, oh, this is your relationship. I mean, how does that work? Because I have a colleague and I know he is with he is married and then I just happened to see him when we were out and he said something about yeah going to see his girlfriend. I'm like yeah, explain the whole thing to me. I was like oh okay because he saw my face. It's like wait a minute.
Right. I mean, you can't act like
Yeah,
somebody not supposed to ask you a question.
exactly.
You're not
Stuff like that.
exempt from questioning because you pick this lifestyle as your choice.
Right.
People, especially when you try to pursue somebody, it's like, well, the what number am I? Am I number 15? Like what? You
Exactly.
know, it's a valid question, but to the point is, people still have needs, and
Right.
it's if we could not be accepted. And that's the point of what I'm saying with the whole women dressing a certain way. They might subconsciously might think, oh, I just like looking pretty, but also subconsciously, you want the attention. You want that caller to call you. You want somebody to say you look nice. You want somebody to say you look pretty. Now, it's probably not the people that you want
Right.
these things from, but it's to a man's mind, you serving it up as a platter,
Yeah, you are
throwing it to the woods.
eye candy. But let me ask you this question though, because you brought up a very good point. Um, with that, when did it become a statement of empowerment for women to dress in as little as possible? Because I hear this these sort of comments made all the time online
Mm-hmm.
where I can dress what I want, I feel empowered and this and that. I'm thinking, so wearing, and again, to each his own, I'm not judging.
Right.
I'm simply asking the question, when did this become, why do you feel empowered because of that? Because let me tell you, as a man, and we have these conversations, when, like, for instance, when I go to my conferences and whatnot, baddest women are in suits, pencil skirts, like fully clothed, and they're gorgeous. Like I
Yeah.
want to see women who are dressed like just you have to be shown like head to toe, but you're wearing things that just fit your body and that sculpt to it and accentuate, if you got curves, your curves, and you're ain't showing a lick of flesh. I find those women so much more attractive just from a sexual standpoint
Mm-hmm.
because it shows to me that one, they have an understanding of their body and what their body looks like. That lets me know they have a sense of self as well.
Right.
And also, they want to present themselves to the world in a certain light.
Mm,
That shows me that you, as a woman, have foresight as
mm.
to what sort of arenas you're going into. And I say that, and then I'll go to something totally different. Well, the opposite of that, friend of mine, she was out, and this is about 2, 3 weeks ago. She just called me. She's like, yo, well, we sent a voicemail. She was like, I need to tell you, she's like, insert government name. I need to tell you what I just saw going to brunch. And
Mm.
she's like, I don't understand. And they were pretty girls. What they were wearing, especially the one of them's like they were wearing this thing and it looked like from Sheen, and they were larger women, but it just wasn't flattering. And they were like everything was hanging out, and they thought they were sexy. And this is a woman coming to me, her friend, about how that like that. Why? What kind of attention are they looking to get? Why does she think that was flattering for her and her body type? And those are the questions I often ask. Like, what, again, I have to separate if someone, especially online, they are facilitating some sort of brand, like that is who they are. And I'm not talking about, so like if someone does OnlyFans or something like that, or even um excuse me, they're a cosplayer or something like that, and that's their brand. They derive money for that. I'm not I'm not putting that in there. I'm talking about
It's some need of wanting attention at the end of the day. It's a need, it's a fiend for it.
but
Now, granted, there's levels to it.
yeah,
Now, I can control a room with clothes on, clothes off, half naked or fully clothed
right,
because that's just me as a person. I just have that confidence
right.
to know I'm the shit.
Right.
But yeah, I had to teach I was in testing today. I'm training for some more stuff, for
Mm.
get more certificates and stuff. And the trainer was like, "You have so much confidence." I'm like, "I know." Next in the sentence. But it's yeah, she wants to look pretty. Yeah, she wants to look sexy. And yes, that feels good. It's endorphins. Like any different from a man that got a fresh cut. How do y'all feel after y'all came from the barber? You feel fly, you feel good, you look good, and you just want to show off. It's some form of I want to be shown. I want to be like I'm a bad bitch. I want to look like I'm a bad bitch. There's nothing wrong with that. There's
Right.
nothing
Nothing
wrong that
wrong.
you want to feel confident, feel pretty, feel like, damn, I look good. There's nothing wrong with that. Just know some men will take it as an invitation in some form and fashion. And yes, you have every right to say no, get up out my face. You have the right to say that because unless I invite you, don't think it's an invitation. And I say this all the time, unless I invite you, do not think it's an invitation. And it's just that simple.
Right. You have a great point with that. Don't think it's an invitation. And that is, I think, where the schism comes into play. And let me tell you from a man's perspective. Okay. Many of us see that and know it's not an invitation, but in our minds, and this is, I would say instinctually, again, that instinctually versus societal standards.
Mm,
Instinctually, that's a that's lust inducing. That is, oh, I want to get to know her, I want to meet her. Like that is all
right.
all lust. And again, that's what it is. And anybody that says something different, not. My issue with that is the women who choose to dress a certain way. Again, you have every choice, but you act like that there isn't a perception. And there could be, and again, I say consequences, but people's reactions to that, both men and women. And I'm not just
Mm,
saying the men, like there is let's say, for instance, I know that there is a different reaction from when I'm wearing what I normally wear compared to what I'm wearing when I walk in the morning, pair of hooping shorts, sneakers, and especially this weather, a tank top. There's a different
Mhm.
reaction to me. I am dressed differently. I am presenting myself differently. I'm in different modes of who I am. I know this. Unless it's people that I know already, I'm going to be perceived differently just because. I know this as a man. If I had, I would think that if I was a female and I had, triple D's and, a BBL, that I would know that, hey, if I'm wearing things really tight and showing a lot of skin and cleavage,
Now, let's go back to that. Let's stay on that topic.
okay,
I don't understand I understand it, but I don't like it.
what, BBLs?
Any plastic surgery,
I, I
anything of
agree.
enhancement, I hate it because I just can't. I like natural.
Mhm.
That's just me. But again, it's for attention. They can say I ain't doing this for attention. If you
Thank you.
walking out half-ass naked with a big sign that says BBL on it, you don't think that that's not seeking
Well,
some
literally,
sort? It's getting attention. Maybe you're not seeking it
it's
in
saying, look
your
at me.
head,
It's
right?
giving them, it's saying, look at me. And you're right. And look, let me be frank. I really hate it online. Women like, men like it. Yeah, we will click on it because men like a nice behind.
Mhm.
No man is saying, I want my girl to have a BBL. Oh, I'm looking for a girl with
Men
a BBL.
get attracted
We attract,
to
it's
to
instinctual.
right. The rumors of men doing in a jail cell is not a rumor, guys. There's some men that get it on because they just want to feel that sensation. It's nothing more deep than that,
Right,
ladies. I'm sorry, men ain't that like not to say dumb, but they're not smart either.
right. But what I'm saying isn't going with your point. The whole aspect of these things are not done because men have expressed that that's what they desire. Like you said,
Right.
these things are done for their own purposes, whether it's attention, whether it's that whatever their chosen careers they felt like that would give them a head.
Yeah.
I end up interviewing some interviews in the adult industry.
Hmm.
Back in the day, everybody was getting implants because that was the end. That's how people got work. And now you don't
Mm.
see that as much. That changes. But it was done because of advancement.
Right.
Whether in this case they feel like it's advancement as far as whatever their career is, or they feel like it's something that can enhance their attracting a mate. But no man has ever said, hey, this is something I want. I want my wife or whoever to go get a BBL. I want to do this. I'm like, no, it's because
And
you
it's sad
want it.
because these women are cutting themselves up and then
Right,
they don't realize you are going to get old. Okay.
right,
All that surgery you did to your body, you have to constantly pay for it to be up and up and up for years to come. We all going to get wrinkles. Our bodies are
yeah,
all going to sag. It's just what's going to happen. When you're young, you got that elastic in your skin. When you
mhm,
get older, it starts to deteriorate. We all going to deteriorate and get old and get
right,
sick and
right,
pass away. So just know that. And then in industry, I understand because it's all about image.
right.
I don't know what happened, and I wish they did a real documentary instead of this dumb documentaries they have. What happened in the industry because they the ones brainwashing us to even think this way in the first place, that we went from Holly Berry being natural, Brandy being natural, Aaliyah being natural, to Kim Kardashians, to the Nicki Minaj's, to the Cardi B's who get enhancements in surgeries. What happened to natural beauty, to being cut up and look like a pinup doll, that the cartoon version of a pinup doll?
Well,
Like, I don't get it.
I'll explain that to a degree. We are a society of extremes.
Mm.
And I talked about the breast augmentation before, and we saw that extreme in the 80s and 90s. But I think that within our culture specifically, we you probably well, first of all, Black women, for the most part, have always been pictures being shapely, and we go back in the 1800s and all of the horrible things that was done to Black women for them. So that's
Because we naturally shaped that
yeah,
way. And it's
right,
not our fault that we attract y'all. Naturally, this is just how we look. God gave African American women the curves, the hips, the breast, the ass, the nose, the everything to attract men to extreme levels. Because even all women all around the world want body parts of some sort of African beauty.
right.
So
I
it is what it is.
I think that what you're saying is right, but where I'm going with it is, I would say, and this is just my observation, a lot of it started in the 90s with the video vixens. And again, they were natural still, but there was a very big emphasis on their rear ends. Uh,
Yeah.
and then Kardashian just put that in a hyperdrive, not necessarily for Black women, but for women in general. And I
Yeah.
don't know when the BBL procedure came out. What you saw after that is you saw a slow crawl to the more and more emphasis on the rear end and the large and the round. And then whenever BBLs hit, you started to see that. And then with any medical procedure, they started to come down in price, and all these regular women are getting them and looking as, oh, if like back in the day, I had a friend that was a dancer, and I remember her talking about breast implants and possibly getting those because of what she did. But she opted not to get them, and I'm glad because she's a beautiful chocolate sister. I was like, nothing. But that was a conversation because of the economic advantage it could have. And so
Right.
I bring it up because then you have the BBLs, and now more and more like people are dancing or even modeling. And you see with urban modeling, you got that. But now, because of that, now what I think Lotto says she got a BBL. You have, I'm not
Um,
sure, like all of these women who are in the limelight, who are, I'll say rap specifically because I can't really speak on R&B artists. Um,
mm,
but I know a lot of them that they are expressing this body image. They are talking about BBLs. They have talked about how they've gotten BBLs. They've talked about how they've gotten surgeries. And then, you listen to the content of their music. I'm going to sound like an old man here. It is scary to think like I'm listening and like, okay, I'm not saying it's not reciprocal because men did it for a long time,
yeah.
in certain ways. But the fact that just how even relationships and whatnot are talked about, I was like, ooh, I see why dudes just
Uh,
take a paycheck. But I'm getting off
right.
topic. My point is there's
Hmm.
images being pushed, and you're right. From our
Yes.
media, even more so than it used to be. There's an image that is being pushed, especially when it comes to Black women specifically, but women in general. And I would say the public conscious, like the sort of lightning rod for it, was Kim Kardashian, and then and because Kim Kardashian, really think about it, she became a caricature for it. Because you think
Mhm.
about it, yes, she's a voluptuous woman,
But that was a white
but
woman.
that's what you're
Like,
right. You're
but
right.
that's terrible. Like that we really not we, but it's all media. It's all media. They push the needle any way they feel like they want to. And yeah, a lot of these people that's like control medias, they have their own agenda. And at the end of the day, it's about the money.
Yeah,
And
it is.
they know with their asshole narcissistic ways that they like a woman that's got a skinny body, big boobs, and a big ass. Now, naturally, boob, biggest boobs is because that's fat. That these are big because one, I had a baby that pushed some fat in there, and I'm a plus size woman that pushed some fat in there. So yeah, I got some double damn D's
Mhm.
and a big ass because of that. But I remember when I was kind of skinny. People kept saying I had a flat ass. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't think of it. I didn't know I had a flat ass or a big ass. I just knew I
Right.
had an ass. But they're like, oh, you got a flat ass. I'm like, okay. Where your ass at? It's back there.
Well,
So you gotta, the reason why some of these women get these surgeries because they naturally can't be skinny and big at the same time. That's why they get these surgeries. And I want women to be like, don't hate on me, because this is what happened with what his name? Steve Harvey came out, Think Like a Man. Men came after him because like, oh, you giving the details and the sauce to what men been doing in the years. Listen, we need to educate our people. At point blank, period. I'm just here to be real with y'all, to educate y'all, so you can make real conscious decisions on the next thing that you do. Because I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of the toxicness. I'm tired of being approached with dumb stuff. I'm just tired of seeing my culture being pulled down and tear down every single second and minute. I'm tired of the music. I'm just tired. I'm a 90s child that misses listening to Blackstreet Boys, NSYNC, and Britney Spears. I miss music that was inspirational, that was inspiring, that made you want to dance, that made you want to sing, and nothing about sex every fucking 2 minutes. Yeah, it was about sex, but it was about making love.
I will say this,
Okay.
there was a balance. And this is,
Mm,
I heard somebody say this before, for every Lil Kim or Foxy Brown, you had a Lauryn Hill, or you had Diggable Planets, or you had a Nonchalant or a Missy. Like you had different voices, and all the
mm,
voices and all the images specifically were not the same. Now, and I'm strictly looking at female hip hop only. Um, there is a uniformity when it comes to image, body type, for the most for those that are out there in public. Like you got people like what's her name, Cupcake, who's a plus size woman who I'm familiar with, and there are others out there. But think of who are shoved down our throat all the time. I mean, and again, Megan, to what I understand, has not had any surgery. No, okay. So to what I understand, so I'm not going to throw her in there, but she has a body type and
mm.
image. Like you said,
But you notice her butt is not as big as it used to because she lost a lot of weight. She was exercising. She was had a trainer. She lost a lot of weight. It all looked natural, but her butt ain't like back in the day when she first came out. They would have considered her as a plus size woman, which is crazy, right? But because she had too like a lot of curve and a big
right,
ass naturally, they saw her as a plus size woman. But go ahead. I'm
right.
sorry to
Oh
interrupt.
no, no, fine. But you look at Megan, you look at Cardi, you look at the City Girls, you look at Lotto. Um, what a lot of people are hearing my playlist, but I don't even know what they look like. They all fit a cookie cutter mold, and none of this is new. Unfortunately, I remember this is literally this is a 20-year ago conversation I had. Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
remember that. I remember I was in grad school. We were on the bus. We were in Madison, Wisconsin, and we were talking about the societal pressures on women as far as body image and everything. This is a 20-year conversation I remember because it got kind of heated because we also were talking about the sort of pressures on men, and I think it got heated simply because that the men aspect was really being dismissed. And that's why I got heated a little bit. But I remember the conversation because it was a good conversation. But my point is, this isn't anything new. But I think that because of it's literally everywhere, like you cannot go anywhere now without this. And we're so connected all the time compared to, say, when we were children. Like we maybe saw it on TV, or we saw here, or we saw a music video here, that no, it is literally everywhere and everything. Lotto, YouTube, this and that. Megan is everywhere. This image of what you should look like as a woman is always there. So you have all these women now that are having this reinforced over and over again. And then it's like, okay, I want to get a BBL. I want to look better. I'm not happy with my body. I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with that. And that whole I'm not happy is a whole
But
nother
that's sad
conversation.
because somebody's telling you that.
You're
Somebody's
right.
telling
You're
you
absolutely right.
to hate your body and to hate yourself. And I get it. People fall into the peer pressure of it. It's no different. People still got the high school mentality. I want to be popular. I want this boy to like me. I want this girl to like me. I gotta get back with like I gotta do this. I gotta do that. If still people think of the high school mentality, and that's where the peer pressure comes in. Now, I've been a nerd and isolated all my life. So best believe I do not give no fucks about no peer pressure. I do things for myself and myself alone. That's why I don't be coming after men when they have an opinion of what a woman should or should not be, because that's their opinion. And we need to start listening to it if it's not to extreme fucking levels.
Right.
Now, be honest. Do you want your wife, your girlfriend, to be out there half-ass naked all the time?
I will say this: I've never had to deal with that with anyone I've ever dated. That is not a conversation I've ever had to have. I know
Mm,
people who do things professionally and they may dress that way professionally, but when it
right.
comes to real life, that is not how they dress at all. So I have personally have never had to deal with that. And I don't know, that's not, I don't know how I would, but that's not a situation I've ever been in. Would I want my wife or whomever I'm dealing with walking out half naked with just this covering, humongous breasts and we going out? No, because first of all, I'll say this, and I'm sure your mom says to you, when you walk out this house, you represent me.
Mm.
She would be representing me and vice versa. I would not walk out of the house looking any kind of way if we're going somewhere, period. Because I know people are like, what the hell is he wearing? Why is she with
So
him?
why is her being sexually explode like it's explicit like that affect you in your head? What's going on in your head? If I'm your wife and I have like um a dress that's above my knees, my cleavage out a little bit, and we just walking down the street. How would that make you feel?
Well, it depends on the dress. Just a little bit of cleavage and a short skirt is one thing.
Mm,
That I mean that's not a big deal. I mean, if like they're hanging out to the point where your nipples are barely in, that may be a conversation we need to have. But if you have a larger breast, you're going to show cleavage. There's unless you wear a turtleneck up here, you're showing
right.
some cleavage. If you got thick thighs, you wear even a modest dress, it's going to be perceived as provocative. And that's why I say there is a difference in my opinion, in dressing and dressing to your body type compared to just dressing and letting it all hang out. There is a difference. And I honestly, and this is my personal opinion, and this is my opinion because I know many women who have curves who I am extremely impressed with their ability to dress, to be stylish, to be sexy, but you are not, everything's not all hanging out.
Mm.
Really honestly think there are a lot of women out there who don't know how to dress themselves. I really do. They are under the perception that sexy means showing everything. I really believe that there are too many women out there, and we go back to the little girl aspect of it. And now, like manufacturers, that's what they're tailoring to. That's how they're telling us this is what little girls should be wearing. There are signals constantly throughout our lives that tell us what we should and should not do in that regard. And I think there are many women, in my opinion, who are in this point now, especially young women who don't understand how to really dress, to be sexy, as well as being able to be classy at the same time. They say think
You
sex
can be sexy, but don't look like a prostitute, okay?
exactly, and that
Without
line is crossed.
without a man, like without thinking a man's not gonna treat you like a hooker.
What,
Like just that's just the thing. Like I get it. Like I can't. I'm as a single woman that I can do what I fuck I want to do,
mm-hmm.
but if I'm in a relationship and my partner says this is making me uncomfortable, that's why you're my partner.
Right,
If something's making you uncomfortable, then tell me and I tone it down. That's all you
exactly.
have to say.
Communication.
But for women to realize like the way y'all looking to us, y'all we think it's not a big deal. But to men, they thinking it's a sign for an open invitation. And you gotta understand that. Like men don't like that. Men really don't like that. They don't. Like they
I'm gonna
say
give
they
you an
like
example
it
real
just
quick.
to get you. That's they saying to like to get you in that bedroom, to get with you
Mhm.
sexually, to boost their ego, to boost their self-esteem, whatever the fuck they men reason is to do this dumb shit, but they don't really fucking like you.
Well, let me say this
And
real quick. And in my perception of you specifically in the content you put out, and to kind of make a difference. Okay, I know that there are just some men who see, what you put out and just are stupid, and I'll put it that way because they don't know what to say out of their mouths or whatnot. But I make the distinction between what you put out as maybe more sexy and sultry and sensual. If you would dress in some of the things you're dressed in, but maybe you were, squatting on the floor and you're making a jiggle and, purposely jumping up and down in the camera and, doing those sort of provocative things. That's why I would say those cross line, because that would be intentional. You were intentionally trying to present yourself in a certain way. So if you're doing that, you cannot, in my opinion, be upset when a man comes out of pocket because that's what they're receiving.
right, right. I mean, I'm sorry, but even to place devil's advocate in the situation, there's women that don't show no titties, no ass, or nothing, and men will still be in their damn DMs for whatever
Well,
reason.
exactly.
So honestly, women just be careful of what you do. And I know it's confusing and it's complicated on both sides. But that's why we have to have the conversation in the first place. We have to have a conversation because whatever you did with Tiffany is not what you're going to do with Brittany. Whatever you did with Mike is not what you're going to do with Tony. These people are different. They might. So, ladies, listen to some of these men when they say that they don't like women who dress provocatively. Let me put it this: from what I notice, they men are complicated creatures. Yes, women are complicated. It's like that saying with men don't understand women don't understand men. We can't live with them, we can't live without them. That saying is a reason because men will marry the woman that look like the good girl, but cheat on them with the bad girl. So y'all say y'all don't like it when women dress provocatively, but you do like it. But for whatever reason, you feel like your boys would say something. You think she's gonna cheat on you, like whatever y'all reason. Because I'm not a man, so I don't get it. But y'all don't like it when women dress a provocative way because for to y'all think they just looking for a good time, not a long time. That's some men think that way. To a woman, she not probably thinking that way. Now I said some. Some are thinking that way. But to each his own, and that's why you have to conversate and have a conversation with people to stop just the same thing with the popping balloon. It's all about first impressions. They say two words. They only give these people like a sentence or two to even say to express themselves. And they already popping the balloons based off two sentences.
Right.
So imagine how people thought process is being triggered to certain things. Some things make them be like, and that's turning me off automatically and immediately. So you have to be careful about your first impressions, be careful what you say and what you do.
Right. Well, I'll only push back on one part, your opening statement with that. How a woman dresses and how she presents herself has nothing to do with whether a man will cheat on her or cheat with her. That if a man is just doing that just because she looks good, then he has a problem. But there is anytime that happens, there is something wrong. It is not because of how that woman looks or how that woman dresses. It is just not. And that's the only thing I'll push back on because it's not as simple as that in conversations I've had and everything. And like that aspect of things is not as simple as just, oh, she's bad. Like, no, if that was the case, then there would have probably be a long list of bodies as far as I'm concerned. But that's not the case. I will say though, first impressions do matter. We bring up a very good point. First impressions do matter. And also, even more so what you said, listen. And this, I have a very big issue when in this space, in these spaces, when they're having these conversations and you have a group of men explicitly, succinctly telling them what they want as men, and they're in unison in what they
Mhm.
want. And the female panelists are telling them, no, it's not. You, do you not listen to what this man said?
Right.
Not listen to what the men on the panel said. The men were in agreement. Let me tell you, and let me tell you, old men, young men, we will all pretty much say we need the same things and want the same exact things when it comes to a partner, not
Hmm.
someone to sleep with, a partner, a wife, whatever it is you, however you define that for you, uh, all of our requirements are going to be pretty much the same as far as the borderline base level things are concerned. We all want a lady. I'll say this, and for the most part, and I had a conversation and I was talking with a friend of mine, and she was just talking about dating and how she is, she's matured and grown. But she was telling me about the whole thing as far as the attractiveness of um, someone in prison or someone that's more hoodish.
Oh my
And
God.
at this point, she's just like, that's somebody,
Not the prison though. Not
but
the prison.
that was more of an archetype though, the danger, the bad boy.
Okay.
But that's one of the archetypes she used in the conversation we had. And she just said, I know like that person is for fun. That person isn't a long-term sort of thing. But that's something I know now. That is something that I grew and I'm become more sure of myself and know who I am. And I know that's not the sort of person that's going to give me what I'm looking for. Um, and she's one of those people who I enjoy talking to because I love her perspective on these things. And she is someone with whom has a very, she understands herself. And I'll say, like I'm talking to you, understand yourself. A lot of people don't. And I'll say when women are in these spaces, and again, these spaces, I'm not talking about real conversations. You and I both have real conversations, and they're nothing like what you see online.
Right, right.
But it seems like that the things they spit out, it makes me question, do you really understand what you really want and need in a partner, not so much the superficial, not so much what society tells you, because I listen to real women and they talk about, and again, we're talking about women who want to get married or don't want to get married, but they are at those positions because they know who they are and they know how they operate. And not that they don't want a partner, not that they don't want somebody to call their own. It's just that they have a perspective because they have grown up and matured, but they're realistic as well. And they're also of an understanding, okay, this is how men are. Men are visual creatures. Men like what they see and operate off of what they see. And again, the perception somebody gets does not gives off does not condone anyone's actions. And I really hated the fact that when we have these conversations, that nobody understands that. Um, a feeling and you feel a certain way, you being uh lust filled or what have you, does not mean that your actions when it comes to that woman, whether you're trying to kick with her, whether you feel like you can demean her or slut shame her, none of those things are kosher.
Right.
That doesn't mean that I see this woman who is, and again,
Grown men don't even have this conversation. A grown man that knows what he wants this woman, wants you. He's making it known. He's putting his 10 feet down. And it's like, I want you. I'm going to pursue you. There's going to be no guessing. There will be no question that he will want you because he's going to show you and tell you that he wants you.
right.
Okay? He can, it's not that hard or it's not that complicated, ladies out there. and listen to these men because when I see shows like that, oh no, it's they feel triggered, like they feel attacked. That's why they say no, y'all don't like that, y'all like this. Well, I don't see a ring on your finger, honey. So if he's telling you that this is what he wants and the way you're going about it is wrong, maybe you should listen to a man if you trying to get a man. Now, if you trying to get a woman, then who gives
Right.
a fuck what a man thinks? But if you really trying to pursue a man to be your husband, to be your boyfriend, listen to what this motherfucker got to say.
You're
Now,
absolutely right. Mhm.
now, let me say this. As for me, as a woman, y'all men have to learn how to come correct. Like I said, a
I
lot of people don't
agree
know
with
what
that.
dating and courting is, NMO. They thinking because I hit likes, 100 likes on your profile pics, that means you're my bitch. I don't know you, you weirdo, get out my face. But in
Absolutely.
seriousness, um, I will let you know if I want you. He will let you know that he wants you.
Right.
There will be no question. Women like bad boys because they fun. They fun as fuck. That's all it is. The prison thing is extreme, and let me say it. Not everybody that's been to prison is bad people, but to want a prison man, that's crazy. That's kind of cray cray.
Look,
But
look, I see
but
these women marrying. I'm like, y'all,
listen,
look.
if you want that ring and he wants to get out that bad,
I'll say
it
this though, and it's something I've had a conversation with my friend about, not to get off topic, but the prison thing, and they're talking about, well, he really like he courted me and he really wrote to me, he
from
reached out to
prison.
me all the time. He ain't got nothing else to do. He literally has nothing else to do. Like you have a man who has every waking free moment is to think about you, to write you, to try to call you, to all these things. That's all he got. All he
I had a man that was juggling two women in prison. Is when he got out, he was trying to figure out which one he wanted to be
he didn't have nothing
with.
but time in prison, and that's what kills me when I see, and it's always the same sort of reason that a lot of these women give when you ask them like why you did somebody in prison, because he takes care of me and he does this and he always has time for me and he writes me. I'm like, yes, because he's in prison.
Yeah,
He has nothing else. He doesn't have to hold down a job. He don't have to wash the dishes. He don't have to take care of the kids. He has to do nothing else. None of the responsibility that take time away from. He don't have a job to go to.
right.
Those things that take time away from being involved with you are not present. So yes, of course, he can spend every waking moment he is awake trying to communicate with you in some way, shape, or form, or calling people on the outside to get things done for you because he has nothing but time.
You know exactly where he at because he
Right,
can't go nowhere.
right.
So that's appealing to you. You know he can't talk to any other girls because there's no girls around him unless it's the guards. You know that.
Yeah,
So
you know what
maybe
happened
that's
to Hillary.
why you feel some more security to mess with prison men, which a lot of prison men, what they call pen pals or some like
Yeah.
some jails pals or some, they get married into a relationship a lot because what else they doing? Like you said, they're not
Exactly.
doing anything
Ain't
else.
no nothing else, homie. Mm-mm. But
But
no, go ahead. Sorry.
everything still is a learning experience. But again, women listen to these men and men listen to us too. Like I hate when a man ego be like, y'all women are supposed to be submissive. Y'all supposed to shut up. Y'all supposed to cook us dinner. You're supposed to do all this.
Supposed to.
What bill you paying, bill motherfucker? Like pick a bill, and yes, I will sit down and shut the fuck up. Okay, I will do whatever the fuck you tell me to do. Pick a bill, but until you do that, I'm still a single woman. I'm still a free woman. I don't care what nobody tell you. I'm still a single woman, free woman. I respect men who respect me. Simple. That look, as long as you be respectful, what are we arguing about? If you learn how to communicate your feelings and emotion without you being erratic, I will oblige.
Right.
It's that simple. No, not a lot of women are level headed as me. Not a lot of men are level headed. And this is another thing I want to talk about maybe another time of how black men in trauma are deep rooted in trauma. We got to understand that a lot of black men been through so fucking much. And that's why they show so much craziness because they've been through a lot of crazy stuff. Black men was the number one target of killing in America. So think of that. Like they got so much going on with them that we gotta try to understand like they can't process certain things as women. That's just natural. Women think a certain way and men think a certain way.
And that's
But at
where
the end of the day, we gotta take from each.
communication comes into play, much like we said before. And communication is not listening to respond. You listen, you process, you think about what they say, you take it into your core, and you evaluate how does this relate or correspond to the way I feel about it, to my experiences, and then you respond. And I think that many times our communication is just piss poor because we all are listening to respond instead of listening to listen and to understand.
Right.
But I want to get back to the main point as we close out that perception part. Um, a woman can dress however she wants. A man can dress however they want. However, there are going to be perceptions that people have of you based on how you choose to present yourself. That has always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
So don't act surprised if you are a woman and you want to feel sexy and empowered and you wear something out that would automatically be classified as somebody thinking you on the stroll.
Right.
Um, while it can still come off tactfully, and I'll put it that way, a man is going to see you and see what you have to offer, and that's what he's going to be operating out of. I'm not saying that he will not be able to get to know you and foster a relationship with you. I'm not saying it won't happen because I have female friends who I met them, like I told you, my friend was a dancer. She's great people. She's one of my best friends.
Mm.
But I never looked at her as a dancer, even though I knew it was what she did and I knew how she dressed at times because of that. Even other, people I've met in the lifestyle. I know that they dress that way because of when they're in the lifestyle, when they're in events, but that's not how they dress
Right.
in
Some of
real
these people
life.
be business people,
Right.
like corporates in corporate offices
Right.
and being at these sex parties.
But
Okay. I just got done watching a couple seasons of The Boy. I'm just picking up on it. Don't judge me. But you see how they all dress professionally out, smiling and doing all this fake shit. But behind closed doors, they psychotic motherfuckers and freaky
right.
motherfuckers. The things I've seen on that show is crazy. But the clothes doesn't make the person. It
No,
really don't. They just clothing.
it doesn't.
Okay.
But there's perception. And
Right.
I tell people if the prevailing thing, especially summertime, men wearing gray sweatpants and basketball shorts and whatnot. Especially if you gotta, how let someone put it, like if the print is printing, so
Mm-hmm.
you may get attention that you get that you would not get if you were just wearing a pair of jeans or a suit or whatnot. The same
Right.
difference. If you're wearing something where it is all hanging out, it is all for to show, you will get a different reaction from the opposite sex to where if you're wearing a business suit and a pencil skirt or something like that.
Now I like looking to the eyes first because the eyes are the window of the soul.
Yes, you're
And
right.
then I will look at the pants. But I'm looking at your eyes first. But
uh, but
yeah, that's it.
so yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, just remember, man, think about how you want to present yourself. We talked about this before, and it always comes down to that. Think about how you want to present yourself. That's really what it comes down to. Be
Yep.
realistic about how you're presenting yourself, regardless of how you feel, because how you feel is a wonderful thing. But how you feel don't mean crap to how the rest of the world will see you when you walk
Right.
out that door.
Right.
And you need to be prepared for that. And don't complain when somebody questions you or perceives you a certain way, because that's what you're giving off.
Right.
And that's what it comes down to it. So I'm like, you can do what you want, live how you want, but the perception that people have, the vibe that you give off, comes from what you wear and how you present yourself. And that's
Right.
just the world we live in. That has always been the world we've lived in. That will continue to be the world we live in. You only
Yeah.
get one shot at making a first impression. You only get one shot at showing people who you are. And if you choose to show people who you are by showing them everything, well, there may be perceptions there people have you that you don't want, but you gave them. So, but Ren, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at Celia_Weaver on Instagram. And thank you as always, Webster, for having me on.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We can find me at Webster Style, Man Whisper. You're going to find me on IG at Webster Style, Twitter, Webster Style, TikTok, Webster Style. Everything that is Webster Style can be found at webster.com. Email me, info@websterstylemagazine.com. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your listening ear. Remember, stay safe out there.